I mean, I was told by my film professor, there are films and there are movies. And sometimes you've got to know what you're walking into.
Yeah. See, but I come from a time when movies were films.
You know, I can envision myself in about 40 years, I'll be about like 60 years old. I'll see myself sitting around the Thanksgiving table with some grandkids, and they're going to be asking me, Grandpa Logan, what was your favorite memory from when you were a kid? And I'll tell them, you know, it might have been like later half of 2024. That was a great time to be alive. And usually fall and December can be very depressing. That's when I do my winter arc stuff, going to the gym, grinding on my career stuff. But this year around, it's actually been going really good. I mean, looking at, you know, everything that's been going on around pop culture and movies and shows, it's been a great ideal time to be alive here, with Gladiator 2 coming out this week. Then later this year, we're going to have Nosferatu, Interstellar releases happening. The Golden State Warriors are going crazy right now. The Cavs are undefeated right now as well, at the time of this recording at least, maybe changing a little bit later here. Then also in football, we have Josh Allen, my glorious king, packing up the Kansas City Chiefs in Buffalo. I couldn't ask for much more from this year. Seeing that game was absolutely great. Smoking on a very fat victory cigar right now for that game, and it's very sweet. And also for TV shows, it's been a very great year as well. We had The Bear, we had House of the Dragon, we had a lot of great TV like Shogun, but also this random indie show finally got a season 2. It's over on Netflix. You maybe haven't heard of it. It's called Arcane. We did an episode last week for Act 1. Act 1 was very good for Arcane, and Act 2 was jaw-droppingly, speechlessly very good. The show is getting to the point where Arcane is so good that it's kind of becoming a little bit underwhelming by just how good it is. It sounds kind of confusing, but I'll explain it in a second here. And before I even talk about exactly what happened in Act 2 and my official thoughts for the thing, I have to say that I didn't even know what to expect from Act 2, which is a very good thing. That's not a complaint. That's me saying that this show giving me this much kind of edge for not knowing what I was going to see inside of an Act 2 is very good. Like I said in the last episode, a lot of the times that we're left in the dark as an audience thing can be very good. We don't always need to know what's going to happen in the next Marvel movie. Sometimes we can just be left in the dark as to what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds. So yeah, I said it last week with Act 1, and I'll say it here again with Act 2. Going into this, I had no idea what was going to happen inside of the next thing here, and even after Act 2, I have no idea what to expect from the next thing here with Act 3. It's going to be incredible regardless, but still, the fact that I don't know what's going to happen makes me that much more excited. I think that my favorite show of the year so far is definitely House of the Dragon. I don't watch any other TV shows like that, not that much. I barely watch any movies at this point, been very busy. But House of the Dragon is my favorite show of the year, definitely right now. That may change because of Arcane, but still, with House of the Dragon is based on a George R.R. Martin book called Fire and Blood, which talks about the Dance of Dragons. Also, there's a lot of history books and lore out there about this whole entire Dance of Dragons Civil War. So House of the Dragon, we already know how that show's going to end. Like, the last scene of the show, we already know how it's going to end most likely, which kind of makes it kind of boring. I feel like we're all just here at this point to see just exactly how they're going to tell the story on television format. But still, with House of the Dragon, we know how everything's going to go down. We knew about Rook's Rest. That's going to be the big highlight for the entire show. And it was definitely the highlight for that season. But still, at times, House of the Dragon felt a little bit underwhelming at times, you can say. Especially with Season 2. Season 2 of the thing was definitely not as well paced as Season 1. And like I said before, we did kind of know a lot of what was going to happen inside of Season 2 just based on the books, which, I guess is good and bad. The struggles of success is definitely very telling inside of House of the Dragon. But the Arcane lore of the legends is very deep and very broad, but still, it's not as clear in terms of what they're going to be doing as we go forward into Season 2, and maybe even if we go into any other kind of spin-offs things. I like that it's not exactly being a carbon copy of lore, to the point where if you're a lore nerd, you're not going to know exactly what's going to happen inside of every single second of every single scene, which definitely does make it fun to where it can trickle down to someone like me, who has never played League of Legends, who doesn't read a lot of lore of anything in any kind of video game. It makes it good to where I don't need to worry about being spoiled that much, but still, I think that as a collective audience, whether you're very experienced, very newbie like me, you can still have fun with the show, which is what makes it just so good to go into this year. And that especially of not really needing to know a lot about a thing before diving into it is something that I will always appreciate. A show like Smiling Friends from this year came out. I watched it full way through. It's something that's good because it's more of like an anthology, fun adult animation show. and not something like how we have House of the Dragon, where yes, House of the Dragon is its own thing, but still, some may make the argument they need to watch Game of Thrones before watching House of the Dragon. So that's 8 seasons of TV before 2 that just came out. So yeah, I like that this show is very good for newbies and very good for people like me who don't know what's going to happen, don't know anything about the lore, but still can be very invested. That's been a whole lot of fun. Okay, but with that out of the way, time to get that little, rant out of the way there. It's time for me to start to yap about what happened inside of Act 2 here. There's a lot to discuss with Act 2. A lot happened. I'm just going to go about talking about exactly, the biggest shock from the episode to the, least shock from the episode that we saw. So, starting off with the biggest thing here. The biggest meat and potatoes the entire Act 2 here. We have Victor and Jace. That's clearly, I guess, the main story you can say for this season 2 act 2 thing here. That's always been, I guess, the main thing. We have always had, like I said, Jinx and Vi have been the real heart of the story, but really I think that Victor and Jace have been almost the main thing of Arcane, you can say, to an extent. Jinx and Vi, the heart of the story, yet Victor and Jace have been really the main driving thing with the entire show. Even though, yes, there are a lot of different things kind of mixing and converging with the show, the main thing here, from what I can tell at least, is definitely Victor and Jace. And this season, it's been no different here. This Act 2 was, I guess, some of the best television I've seen all year. And I've watched a little bit of TV, but still, this is just mind-boggling, investingly good, to where I honestly forget this is a show sometimes, but just how invested I am and just how real everything in this show feels. Regardless of the fact that it's a weird fantasy world, it feels like a life that I'm living inside of for about an hour and a half every single week. And Victor has definitely been my favorite character in this entire show so far in Act 2. I'm the biggest Victor Glazer you will ever hear from on the entire planet Earth. There's no one bigger than me, and I'm definitely happy to have that title. It's most definitely apparent that Victor has definitely taken a lot of parallels from Jesus Christ, and definitely being a messianic figure has been the thing that's made him so cool. I love religion in anything, really. Religion in movies, the way it kind of parallels, seeing how you can look at a scripture and then seeing that parallel into a TV show or movie is always a whole ton of fun. Very cool to analyze. I'm not the biggest Bible nerd myself, but still, it's fun to notice the obvious ones out there. One of my favorite films this year was Transformers 1, and Transformers 1, between Optimus Prime and also Megatron, definitely has very heavy parallels to Cain and Abel. Definitely a very biblical story there. That's definitely, hey, very an old one as well. The Bible is a very old piece of media here that's definitely been inspired by a lot of different things, which is definitely not a bad thing. And then continuing on into more biblical references inside of media, I love the one here with Victor and Jace. Victor and Jace is definitely one of the coolest relationships in the entire show. This one, you could say, is Cain and Abel a little bit, but Jace, I don't know what's even going on with that guy right now. Jace is definitely being corrupted by something or someone. Maybe it's Victor corrupting Jace in the future, some weird kind of paradox thing going on, who knows? I'm not kind of quoting here at all. But Victor and Jace, I definitely would say, is more of a parallel between when Jesus is about to die and we have Judas betray him. That's definitely, I think, been the most kind of accurate comparison I can draw here from the Bible. And, it is very apparent here that Jace definitely does betray Victor, someone who he loved at a point, and that is definitely even the more powerful, seeing that it was Jace that did that action. It makes it just that much crazier of a moment in the entire show. And I love that Victor becoming a god, becoming this messianic figure, this Christ-like figure in the world of Arcane. It's made this kind of burden to be bestowed on this character that he didn't even exactly want. I think that Victor has definitely gone beyond Victor and become this very high celestial ancient being that can control and see everything all happening, everything everywhere all at once. Which is why, I'm just gonna skip to it, when Victor dies in this show, in, Act 2 here, I don't think that Victor is actually dead. That's kind of my theory that I have going on here. I'm one of the only ones who think that Victor isn't dead right now. I mean, looking back, like I said before, with Judas betraying Jesus in the Bible, we know that Jesus knew that he was going to die in those final moments there. And he knew that he was going to be resurrected later on in 3 days' time, like it happens in the Bible. So who's to say that Victor doesn't believe the same thing? I'll talk about it in a second here as well, but with Jinx and Vi coming into this kind of sanctuary here, he says to them that he's expecting you. Without them even talking to Victor, Victor already knew that they were coming. Victor witnessed Jace murder that guy with his hammer, smashing it onto his face, which was a brutal scene. And then there's definitely a chance that Victor knew that he was under control of something, that he was coming to destroy him. You can definitely see it in Jace's eyes. That's not the same Jace that we grew up loving, even though he may look like more of a, what do the girls say nowadays? Zaddy, with the beard and the long hair. Girls are weird, but yes, he does look like a kind of Chad that people have a crush on still, but Jace is not Jace like we know him. Even when Jace goes up to Victor to kill him, I can see that Jace looks down on Victor. He has about, I guess it is kind of confusing to see the way the show's cut, but we can say Victor has about, let's say about 15 seconds before Jace actually kills him. So he has a lot of power. I'd say at this point in the show, Victor has more power than Jace to definitely overpower him or subdue him for the time being, but he chooses not to. He's instead suspended in this very meditative state where he knows that he is definitely not in a state to attack anyone back. He's definitely made himself very vulnerable to anything and not really at a position to use his powers to defend himself. Just like how in the Bible, when Jesus was on the cross, he didn't use any of his powers to strike down people around him. I won't say Jesus had powers, it makes him sound like he's a mutant, like he's Professor X, but still, Jesus was on a cross, same way how Victor in this situation is suspended above everyone else in a state where he can't really defend himself. So all these signs point to each other. I think that Victor knew he was going to die. He knew that he had to die for some kind of grander scheme plan, and that's why we see in this scene he does what he does, to where he doesn't really fight back, which we know that he can, but he instead decides to just come to peace with this moment, and then maybe, what I think at least, he'll be resurrected and brought back to life. And also, another thing to mention is that I think that Victor probably knows that when he died, the others around him died as well. I don't think that Victor would let himself die, knowing that when he dies, other lives are at stake as well, to drop in an instant. And also, like we said with Warwick, when Victor died, Warwick was also brought back out. The full Warwick, no Vander, which I have to talk about in a second here. Oh my gosh. But still, the main takeaway from Victor in Act 2 is that Victor is way above anyone else in the entire show. I think that he's definitely the strongest that we can ever even see in this show or fathom. Him being above everything, being able to see everything. He's not dead. Unless this is some kind of pull away like in The Last Jedi where Snoke died. Well, I hope to God that it's not that, but still, I don't think Victor's dead. I think Victor will come back to life inside of Act 3, but I may be just biting my words at this point, so who knows? We'll see. We don't know what's going to happen. There's more things to note that are a little bit more important here, like Jinx, Vi, Isha, and Vander. That's really the heart of this show inside of Act 2 here, and also Act 1. That's really the main thing that really just broke my heart into 5 million different pieces in the end of Act 2. I don't even want to talk about it. It's terrible. It's tragic. I don't exactly know where to start, but I'll start with Vander and Warwick because that's really the biggest point of this little section here. And obviously from Act 1, in the end of every episode of Act 1 here, there's been about like 5 seconds of Warwick teases. And the main running, what I thought was a theory, was that Vander was Warwick, which I didn't think was true. I thought that the whole community was just kind of being stupid. I was like, guys, there's no way that Vander's Warwick. That doesn't make any sense. I don't think that would be very good either in reality for the show. So I don't want that to happen. I didn't really want Vander to be Warwick, yet here we are. So, no more I can say about it. It's already happened. It's already done. And really, at one point, I was definitely someone who definitely hated the idea of having Vander be Warwick. But instead, when he came back as Warwick, I didn't realize just how much I needed him back in the show and just how much that can really elevate the characters of Jinx and Vi and how much that can make them better by having Vander come back and really having Vander as Warwick be the glue that can bring back Jinx and Vi that I always wanted from the get-go. And it's definitely the most tragic thing to see that Vander is still inside of Warwick, just trying to come out, trying to fight the two halves that are inside him and just become the man that he was again. That was something that wasn't on my bingo card. I didn't want that to happen, and it definitely pulled at my heartstrings. It was definitely sad to watch that. Seeing the flashbacks of Jinx and Vi's mother was also very sad, and seeing Vander really be the father figure for them for a long time now, and seeing that he was gone, then just not really realizing the hole that was left when he died inside of episode 3 last season, and then seeing him come back now was beautiful. Then also seeing Vander be taken away a second time was just even more tragic than the first time. I don't even want to talk about it. If I start crying, it's okay. It's fine. It's just, the show really does that to me, but, whatever. Moving on. I guess my second favorite character behind Victor inside of Act 2 was definitely Jinx. Jinx having her redemption arc inside of Act 2 was definitely not on my bingo card. I thought that Jinx was just going to continue on her madness arc, and that was the thing that I guess was kind of getting boring. I guess in the end of Act 1, I was kind of bored of seeing Jinx just, kind of being on her madness arc. It was cool for season 1. It was cool a little bit again, but still, it felt kind of boring. It kind of made Jinx too much of a one-dimensional character. I'm not saying she was that at all before, but seeing them continue on this path of her just being a dark, evil girl was definitely, it felt very one-dimensional, very just boring and bland for a character that really should be very deep and have a lot of depth to her. Which is definitely one of the biggest highlights of Act 2, is seeing Jinx get her redemption, something that I didn't think I needed to happen, or definitely didn't think that the show needed to be really good, but seeing Jinx's redemption, one, caring for Isha, caring for a small child, being the last link to Powder, and what she still can be, is beautiful. Seeing her being the older sister that she always wanted Vi to be also is definitely very good to see that impact Vi when she comes back a little bit later as well. It kind of got boring of Jinx just running around blowing stuff up, seeing her instead going to save Isha, a random child, and doing something not for her own sake was cool to see. It definitely was very good to see her be more selfless, and the child being a vessel for what Jinx can really be, and also giving the people of the Undercity hope again, was something that, once again, I didn't think needed to happen, but Jinx becoming the hero, becoming the symbol that she really essentially needed to be to really unite the Undercity was beautiful. It was great. I didn't think that was something that needed to happen, but it was, and it worked so well. And definitely, as we go into Act 2, something that I can definitely confirm probably will happen is in the death of Isha, which I don't even want to talk about at all. That really broke my heart. But with the death of Isha, sacrificing herself for Jinx, that definitely does show that Jinx has had an impact, whether she wanted to or not, whether her impact wasn't to make Isha make a sacrifice play, but seeing Isha make that sacrifice, I think will definitely bring out a different light of the character that we didn't really know needed to happen inside of the show, especially seeing her not even want this burden, this symbol, but seeing that the burden is being bestowed upon her, whether she's ready for it or not, whether she thinks that she deserves to be this kind of symbol or not. I definitely didn't really think that at all, but still, it's something that people need. People still need hope to fight back against the, massive Imperium that's going on upstairs. So that's great to see. I love seeing that growth for the character, and it's just beautiful to see that. And also still, it trickling down into other characters like Vi. I didn't even think that if there was anyone who's going to be a symbol for the Undercity, it would be Vi. In my eyes, in my opinion, from Act 1 going into everything, the main person who I think would really make the best symbol for Revolution would be Vi, which is, I guess, why it makes it the most genius to have that kind of flip-flop. Seeing Vi just in a Fight Club arena going on, not the David Fincher Fight Club, a more, dirty, like with rats kind of Fight Club, that happening was just so cool. I love Vi's era she's in right now. Definitely have a big fan of it. Huge fan of that. But seeing her reunite with Jinx and them just coming to terms and finding common ground on what they need to do, which is to save Vander, and seeing this very twisted and dark family reunion almost made me cry. But, once again, if I cry, it's okay, but still, seeing that happen, seeing them be able to come back and notice and recognize the mistakes that they made in the past and things they should have done better, and just finding a way, once again, to be together as a unit is incredible. I love seeing that growth. Something that I didn't want to see happen in the end of the Act 3 was I didn't want to see Jinx and Vi just have a very big, epic final battle to where one of them kills the other. I didn't want that to happen at all. I'm happy it won't. I guess we don't really know, but still, That was incredible. That was beautiful. I love these characters. Really the most heart of the entire show, like I said. And something that I'll never really recover from is Isha sacrificing her life was just something that I didn't even like comprehend at the time of it happening. Seeing a little girl like, smaller than me making a sacrifice play like that was something that I didn't even want to even contemplate, yet it still happened in front of my eyes. I'll never forgive the writers for this because I'll be crying in my car on lunch break every single day for the next few weeks, but it's whatever. Also, someone who I didn't mention at all really was Caitlyn. Caitlyn in this act of Arcane was really cool to see. She is still under the hand of Ibessa, and she's definitely starting to realize that, which is why I love the character. She's great. She's awesome. Also, I want to see Caitlyn and Vi get back together. Please, Riot Games, can that happen, please? If Caitlyn and Vi don't get back together, I'm probably going to just crash all the Riot servers. How about that? So no more League of Legends until Vi and Caitlyn get back together. I want it to happen right now, but we'll see. And also, while we're on topic here, speaking of Mbessa and Mel, they're kind of weird plot going on still with the Black Rose cult thing going on. That's still, I still don't know what's going on with that. We haven't had a lot to really say about what's happening with that kind of subplot. It's been really a very far distant C plot to the A and B really being the main plots of the entire show. That's been a kind of thing to the side that people don't really know about or care about that much. So still, as things progress in Act 3, we'll definitely have a conclusion here as to what's going on. But that's still kind of cool. Seeing that Mbessa had a child, an affair with some other lord previously, and then seeing that might be Mel with the golden armor stuff. That's kind of cool. But still, once again, we don't have a lot of info on that, so there's not a lot to really input on that as of right now. But it may change. She may make some super cool, kind of like Captain Marvel inside of Endgame level comeback here. But, who knows? We'll find out in a couple weeks. Or, sorry, this week, Saturday. And lastly, my last little note for Arcane Act 2 is, I'll say this extremely politely to the guys over at Riot Games right now and over at Netflix. My simple, very kind question to you is, where the fuck is Echo and Heimerdinger? Where are they? Where are my boys at? Where are they at? What's happening with them? Are they okay? Are they all right? What's going on? I'm very scared for them. Please tell me. Please just, comfortably send me an email saying, hey, Logan, guess what? Echo and Heimerdinger, they're all right. They're okay. I could use that tonight so I can sleep, get some rest, get a good night's rest. That would be great. But, I'm just a guy in my closet writing a little podcast thing here. So, I'm not that important. But yeah, as we wrap up this episode, the show is still great. As I said before, the animation, the music, it's all incredible. The show still, like I always say, speaks for itself. There's not much I can do to make this show any better than it already is. This Act 2 was a thing that really put it back to front and put it back on the map. My friend called me when he was watching Arcane Act 2 because he's away right now. But he said that if they release all 9 of these episodes, people might be in the hospital right now, which is definitely very true. For the narrative of the show and just how big narratively these episodes are, I'm not mad at them releasing them, in these 3 weeks here, these 3 little acts. It makes the most sense for me. My mental health is already cooked as is. So, 3 acts separating these 3 great kind of sets of episodes here have been awesome. And I can't wait to see in Act 3 what's going to happen. I don't know, but I'm just all here for it. My final, predictions for Act 3, I still don't know. It's really all up in the air. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, I don't know where this show is going, which makes it that much better. I don't really have a lot of predictions, but I do have a couple here. Number 1, Victor will come back to life. He will rise and be resurrected. I am very excited for that. It's going to happen. I hope, because I'm the biggest Victor Glazer on planet Earth, and it's going to be great. Also, I want to see Vi and Caitlyn get back together. It's definitely going to happen inside the finale here, which is going to be very fun. Also, we're going to have Echo and Heimerdinger be okay. Yes, it's going to happen very swell. But, the truth of the matter is, when it comes to these acts and everything, the reality of it all is that most likely, my coworker was talking about this last week when Act 1 came out, is that they're putting so much stuff in these acts, and definitely a lot's happening as well. But so much stuff is happening in these acts. It's definitely going to feel like it's definitely very underwhelming. We're going to feel like there's still more food to be fed to us. Listen, Netflix, Riot Games, they know for a fact there's money to be made here. The show's only going to get bigger and bigger. most likely there's going to be some kind of spin-off of Arcane. There's definitely going to be more stories to tell with the world of League of Legends. They're definitely like, over 100 characters, so they're definitely good. I'm definitely all here for that. There's definitely going to be more to tell with the world of League of Legends. People are going to be all here for it, and I'm definitely all here for it. So definitely going to happen. Don't be surprised if like next year we get like 2 or 3 new League of Legends TV shows are going to be announced. I'm going to do some research this week into a little bit of League of Legends lore just to see what would make a really good TV show. Going into the end of Act 3, we're going to be definitely very hungry for more of this stuff, but there's definitely a lot of more good stories to tell. I can definitely bet on it. So until then, let me know what you thought about Arcane Act 2. Is it everything that you wanted it to be? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it horrible? What happened? Let me know. Let me find out. We have a little fan mail thing down there that's very cool. Definitely free to do. If you want to send us fan mail, it's down there, so go do it. It's definitely really fun. Also on Spotify, if you're on there, we have a little Q&A thing down there as well, which is very cool. Whole lot of fun again. Final teeny tiny announcements before I let you go here. Number 1 is that you can leave us a review. Keeps lights on, keeps the fridge full. Leave us reviews, they always help out. Number 2 is that this week is a very big week. Number 1, Wednesday, we're doing Civil War. I meant to do that last week and the week before that, but we're finally doing it, so it's okay. Then Friday, we also have Gladiator 2, a very big, incredible, finally having that movie come out. It may not even be that good, but I'm definitely going to go see regardless in IMAX because it's my job, so, whatever. Then after Friday, Saturday is Arcane Act 3. Next week, Monday is going to be the Arcane Act 3 episode. Then Tuesday, I might try to squeeze in Gladiator if I can. Then Wednesday, I'd like to do Where the Wild Things Are for our fall episode. And then in December, I have no idea, actually. I didn't mean to say that, but yeah. The December script is blank, empty, no clue. 0 clue at all, but I'll figure it out. We might just take a vacation like last year, but we'll see. Who knows? Until next time, follow us everywhere on Instagram. We're also on TikTok and Twitter. But until then, stay swagged out, stay cool, watch more movies like Arcane is a movie, but definitely still watch more Arcane. And until next time, I'll see you boys in the movies.
Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you.